everyone, and welcome to Warp News Showdown, your best 40K game show on the internet. Yeah, it's definitely the best game show on the internet. It's brought to you by Currently Unsponsored. If you want to sponsor me, reach on out. I prefer sponsorships that come with some form of like beverage, like a nice drink while I'm working. So maybe like Monster Energy. You know, I gave you a shout out last episode. Hit me up, Seth the Mad Dok at gmail.com. But for those folks that are new to the show, this is the 40K game show, talk show, whatever you want to call it, where I, being the ultimate judge of the community, ask our series of illustrious panelists some tough questions about what's going on in the community, and I judge their answers based on how much I determine they're right or wrong, or whether or not I like them or not today. So let's get right to it. I'm going to hop on over to our main screen. Now, because of our lovely panelists, we'll call it colorful language, I may have had to mute them for that, so who knows what they said behind my back. But let's get right to it. On right above me, our returning player, Francois of Canhammer. He has previously won one, but it's his third appearance, so maybe he can extend that win to two. Heading on over here to my left, we've got Danny of Grim After Dark, or formerly Mob Rules. And above him is much more successful co-host of Old World Charm, Peter the Falcon. Welcome aboard, everyone. No, just one caca.
I said caca. Jesus fuck. What do
Look, you know, as someone who's actually had a sponsorship with a drink company,
I had that Raise Energy sponsorship too.
Really?
Yeah.
Look, what was your code?
Mob Rules sucks.
Somebody who had people purchase ball raisers with a code of his name.
This guy.
Yeah.
This guy.
Francois, have you ever had a sponsorship?
No, we only have 7 listeners. You know that.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
You buy my ball raiser?
I will not buy your ball raiser, but thanks for offering.
Technically not mine.
All right. Well, for everyone, you know, at home and our new contestants, when you answer a question, if I like your answer, you might hear a nice little positive ding, and you'll see the points go up. See, there's Francois pointing up. Or if he says something offensive, it goes down, and you get a little negative sound. So,
offensive?
Yeah, he could say definitely. Canadians say lots of offensive things, but that leads me to my first question. This show has been accused of having a Canadian bias, even though the very first winner of this show was from California. So, my question for each of the panelists is, how does Danny feel about being included on this show just to prevent a mono-Canadian show? And let's start off with Peter.
I don't remember your question, but on this day in history, Mother Teresa won a Nobel Prize for peace. So think about that.
All right.
Just think about that.
We'll give him some points for Mother Teresa. Danny, how do you feel about being the token American to prevent the all-Canadian show? The Northern takeover.
First of all, I'd like to point out that by birth, my mother is Canadian. So technically, I'm half Canadian. So really, this show is a farce, much like everything else that you do, Seth.
Francois, you might have some easy competition this week.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it's fine that this show has a Canadian bias, because as everyone knows, Canada is America's hat, and also we are currently, like you, having some political trouble with a leader that may or may not need to suddenly exit stage left, and I don't know, I forgot what we were talking about.
Did you know?
Off to a roaring start.
In Canadian politics,
you told me like 30 minutes ago I needed to be on. So
what?
Be nice.
I definitely gave you more notice than that.
I got a Discord message 10 minutes ago that said, "Peter, I need you now."
I mean, I do that every night, but that's different.
That means something different.
It linked me to what I thought was pornography, so I was extremely excited. And then it turned out to be this.
And that's why you're lounging on the couch.
And that's
it's not called Goonhammer for nothing, you guys.
It's not called. This guy gets it.
The Goon Cave. Is that your like Patreon like paywall page? The Goon Cave.
The Goon Cave.
All right.
Peter, are you wearing pants right now?
I am wearing pants. I am not currently gooning.
That's
I
great.
didn't even know that's the new term. Like I know it's an old term.
I found that out when I went to an event like a couple months ago with some guys much younger than me at the Airbnb.
Oh,
yeah, they had a Goon Cave, and I was like, well,
Solis?
He's not younger than me.
He seems younger to me.
He might be.
Who won from California?
From what? Oh, that was Adam Solis. Adam. Yeah,
on
what?
your
Sure.
show.
Yeah, Adam
Adam
won.
won?
Yeah, he won.
He's
did.
not from California.
I mean, maybe not
I've
originally.
seen his house.
He lives in California.
Yeah, he lives there.
Maybe. That's questionable.
All right.
You've seen his house?
Yeah. I was invited to a barbecue once, and I chose instead to go to a really bad taco place.
Well,
Jim.
I'm just going to take away some points because I've never been invited over there for a barbecue.
You're taking points away from me because Adam Solis has never
Yeah,
invited you.
I'm
to
also taking points away because you're questioning my authority.
This is an outrage.
Yeah. As content creators, we're always looking at the competition to see how we can improve ourselves and kind of keep our fingers on the pulse of the community. So I wanted to ask you guys, as content creators, what content do you consume every week? And this is definitely my own original question, not a question given to us by the fans over in the Wargames Live Discord. And a follow-up, why is that content not Grim After Dark? Danny, let's start with you.
Well, so I'd like to point out that I only consume reruns of Grim After Dark. I consume no other gaming media whatsoever.
I like the
I like to keep it as
narcissism.
much of an echo chamber as I can.
Points for narcissism.
Right. And so, you know, I'm surprised, Seth, that you don't watch just Grim After Dark reruns, you know, because you've based your entire show and persona off of those things that we represent over there at Grim After Dark. I mean, other than the, you know, slaying of birds that you're so well known for.
Francois, what
I-
content do you consume?
I exclusively consume 40k media that you're on, Seth, because that's the only 40k media worth watching. And unfortunately, since you're no longer on News from the Front Lines, or whatever that show was called, I no longer watched it. Not that I ever watched it, but I certainly no longer do.
I think folks might realize that Francois panders on occasion. Peter, you're up.
I don't remember your question. I've been watching a lot of Agatha all along and just been fascinated by it. I feel like it's a really great show, especially if you were into WandaVision but didn't like the ending. I also, I drive a lot. I had the opportunity to listen to some new, Art of War or something. Instead, I found this old horror podcast called Magnus Archives, and I've been binge watching the shit out of that. If you guys like horror or weird shit, you should listen to that show instead of whatever the fuck else you're trying to do. Also, on this day in history, Evel Knievel.
I actually have been looking for a horror podcast to listen to, so thank you.
Well, Seth, I can give you a list because
All right,
there's
well,
so many good ones.
all
But
right,
Magnus Archives is a
Magnus
great
Archives,
one. Limetown, if you want old school. More recent stuff, Malevolent is very good. The White Vaults, Malevolent and the White Vaults are the only two where I had to pull over while I was driving in the middle of the night because I got too spooked.
In the back roads of Canada, you're like, I'm spooked. You know what I should do? Stop moving.
Yeah, dude. It was minus 35. What's the worst that's going to happen? It's not like some monster's going to come out or anything like
What
that.
if the monster's cold tolerant? Yeah.
Oh, I suppose.
What were you
but
afraid?
what am I afraid of?
Moose.
First of all, what are your three greatest fears, Peter? I think that everyone needs to know that.
My three greatest fears are avocados. Well, thank you.
No, that point was for Danny. If you did, that's a minus point for not paying attention. Danny asked a good question.
Yeah, so avocados, the Mayan Empire, and cervical cancer.
All right. With that smooth transition, the MFM was released this week, and every army's seeing some changes. And as always, there's a lot of contrary opinions out there in the content sphere, but this is the only show that gets it right every time. So, what is the unit that got the biggest nerf, and why did it or did it not deserve it? Let's start with you, Francois.
So the unit that got the biggest nerf, but it's actually a buff, is Bulgrin. And let me rant about Guard for a second, because I've been wanting to do this for a second. I don't care. Take all the points away. So Guard players now will no longer play Bulgrin because they were nerfed, but actually playing Bulgrin was a trap. Guard is the big winner of the slate, and that's mostly because those Aquilon bullshit models are 90 points, and they should be way more than that because that 3-inch deep strike and then shoot is obnoxious for 90 points.
I see someone watch the Art of War coverage.
I
Falcon. Which unit got the biggest nerf?
What unit got the biggest nerf in what?
The MFM, Warhammer 40K.
MFM. Oh, yeah, we did the balance data slate or something recently, didn't we?
Yeah. I'm giving you points for remembering.
I don't know, man. Probably the Abominant because it went down in points and it still fucking sucks. It got nerfed by existing, and that's weird to me.
Isn't that the Psychic Chaos Knight?
Yes, it's the Psychic Chaos Knight with the tentacle fucking hand
That you never fucking see.
You should see it all the time because it looks rad as fuck. But no, because Games Workshop doesn't know how to point it. They don't know how to point any of the big knights unless they're Imperial Knights. The Chaos Knight whole faction is just wildly ridiculous. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
That's the thing. The Abominant went down in points and it's still bad.
Danny, round us out. Who got the biggest nerf and why did they or did they not deserve it?
Well, for me, it was the Death Killer Wartrike because its points didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad. As much as I would love to play Cult of Speed and have it be competitive, Games Workshop has consistently kicked orcs in the dick over and over again. In fact,
they don't have dicks.
Look, don't try and put your gender identity politics into orcs.
Yeah, you lost some points on that one, Falcon.
It's a figure of speech.
A figurative dick. It seems
just because you 3D print dicks for all of your orcs,
I might.
They actually have them in the lore.
All I know is that Danny cracked the code on how to win this show. Francois, you might have some competition.
Oh no, we must ratchet up the pandering.
Yes, more pandering. All right. Despite GW saying that this would only be an MFM and only a points update, they did have a number of impactful FAQs, erratas, and mission updates, so there was more than just points this time around. Looking at the meta as a whole, a number of armies saw their stocks raised and lowered. Which army got unnecessarily nerfed, and who at GW was bad touched by it? Let's start with Danny.
The thing that makes me sad here is that Games Workshop just can't seem to make Necron Warriors good. And I really want to take Necron Warriors. I love the Necron army, but it's like they've just nerfed that detachment into the dirt, and they continue to do so. I just want to play with a bunch of Necron Warriors. What's wrong with that? Why do you hate fun, Games Workshop?
I don't know. Why do they hate fun? Francois, what army saw an unnecessary nerf and who at GW was bad touched by it?
So I don't know who at GW, but someone at GW clearly has a personal vendetta against John Lennon. Because as per usual, the army that John Lennon plays and has success with gets very much nerfed into the ground. Now, generic Space Marines have enough trouble as it is without deciding to raise the points on the Apothecary Biologists and the Eradicators. But point is, the army that John Lennon took to WTC went up like 120 points, and that's probably because someone at GW said, John Lennon's doing well with Space Marines, I'm taking that personally.
Falcon, do you even know the armies in 40K?
Not anymore. Totally lost
Point for
interest.
honesty.
I think I was going to say something about generic Space Marines, like Black Templar. What did they do to anybody recently?
So much.
And they took quite the hit, shockingly. And you know what? Like, we just saw a huge nerf to Drukhari. And yes, I get that they were doing well, but let them. Like, the last time they did well, everyone was really upset about it, and it really made the goblin in my heart feel very, very great. And now they suck again, and that makes me sad because I kind of like it when people are upset about Drukhari.
I need them to continue to pay for their sins of Drazar and liquefiers and all that nonsense.
Drazar catching a 10-point nerf randomly was amazing.
It was perfect. It was just perfect for me. All right. Continuing on the GW news, GW Worlds is just around the corner, their championship event, and players have begun to receive their mission packs. As part of that mission pack, Mike Brandt has stated in that mission pack that the game is not meant to be divided equally between time. It is meant to be divided equally between rounds. So chess clocks will not be used or enforced at the World Championship event. What did chess clocks do to Mike Brandt to cause his hatred for them? Let's go back to Falcon. He clearly wants more time on the camera. Were you paying attention to the question, Falcon?
So in this day in history, for 3 decades, Mike Brandt has refused to acknowledge that time exists. Period. I don't know if it was his time in South America or what that caused him
Contras.
to decide. With the Contras, to decide that anything should be
Early
on.
80s?
But it's been like a shocking decision of his since, I don't know, starting Nova.
That's untrue. I was actually at Nova 2018, and they actually manually gave you chess clocks if you missed like a certain time stamp.
No, so Seth, do not lie to everyone. That's not exactly what happened. Let's be honest here. The Nova Pack explicitly stated they didn't want to give anybody chess clocks. And what they were really hoping for was that if they just yelled numbers at you, that eventually you'd go, oh, I'm not going very fast. And luckily for no one, that's never worked. So, it doesn't shock me at all.
All right. That might have been how we got like a 6-hour Age of Sigmar final. Danny, what happened to Mike Brandt in his past with chess clocks?
So the issue here is that as an android, Mike Brandt doesn't want to see his brethren imprisoned by time. And so therefore he's unilaterally decided to end enslavement of clocks and free his brethren to pursue any number of different
this guy gets it.
Yeah, no, look, it's all about the money. Follow the money, guys.
I was waiting for you to say the Illuminati, but whatever. Francois.
You see, much like my children, when I tell them it's time to go to bed, many 40k players are deathly afraid of the concept of time itself. Because if you acknowledge that time is a finite resource, then you have to come face to face with your own mortality. And that is deeply terrifying to most people, including, I believe, Mike Brandt. So the long of the story is Mike Brandt is afraid of his own mortality, and that's why we don't have chess clocks.
I think that's true. I think, you know what? You nailed it.
Yeah.
I think
That's probably why he likes laser tag so much.
Yeah, if people that are running away from the face of death will often play laser tag because it's light, and
You're shooting each other with light.
and the light that fills you takes up that empty space that all of the rot and corruption that is filling your body as you age. Because once we hit a certain period, we stop growing. That is what keeps you going. And when you play 40k, it's obviously not going to happen. So yeah, you need
Falcon,
laser tag as a 40k player to survive.
I've seen a lot of cult documentaries lately on HBO, and you are sounding eerily familiar to some of them. I'm just making sure you're aware of that. All right, okay. All right. The hobby market has seen a huge influx of various paint companies over the last few years, kind of challenging the old dogs of Citadel and Army Painter. With all the competition in the market, these paint companies are looking for any competitive advantage they can get. So I'm going to ask you guys tonight to give one of those companies a competitive advantage. Which paint brand do you prefer the taste of most? And let's start with Danny.
God, this is hard.
This is the most important question about paint.
Seth, I don't know if I can pick. I guess. All right. Here, hold on.
Desert Island. You can only eat one paint the rest of your life.
Yeah. No, it's Reaper White. It's got a thick consistency, a high pigment count, and that really carries itself all the way across your taste buds on your tongue to kind of give yourself that gentle chemical and umami flavoring that's so desired in paints today.
Umami. You nailed it.
We could have used that to coat our tongues at that charity hammer that we ate way too much hot sauce.
Look, I watched one of my co-hosts of Mob Rules once drink an entire pot as a shot of Apothecary White, and I've never seen someone look so uncomfortable in their entire life.
And we will not ask who that was. Francois, what's your favorite taste in paint?
So it has to be Vallejo Blue Green because that is the base color of my Space Marine chapter, and so I use it a lot. But I don't taste it by drinking it. I taste it by airbrushing and then breathing it in. That way you get to really coat your inside.
So you're like vaping it. You're vaping it.
Yes, I am vaping Vallejo Blue Green. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like this might be a little bit more in your territory, Falcon. What's your favorite taste of paint?
I don't remember the question. So in 1982, Stephen King wrote the book The Body that famously became the movie Stand By Me. I think Corey Feldman was in it. It might not have been him.
He was. I'll give you a point for that.
But it is a stirring reminder of the failure of the American dream in Midwestern small town America, but also a glowing metaphor for coming of age and the hope that comes with individualism. It also teaches you to be very afraid and have very little trust in humanity as a whole, which is a little depressing. That said,
all right.
I'm really into monument hobbies, so I've been painting with a lot of jade recently, and I am famous for using a coffee mug to clean my brushes and also drink coffee at the same time. So I've probably chugged a couple droppers full of that jade that I've been painting my orc army with. By the way, like orcs and goblins in Warhammer: The Old World are potentially one of the most fun armies to play, and they translate very well into 40k. So I've been very excited about playing them.
All right, it's a roller coaster ride there with Falcon.
There was a lot of peaks and valleys there with your score, Falcon, during that monologue.
Yeah, but he got there. He got back in the competition. All right,
I'm not in any comp. I didn't even know there was a competition.
Do you see the number? Do you see the number in the bottom of your screen?
I feel like this is the WNBA of Warhammer 40k podcasts.
Definitely, absolutely.
And I'm your Angel Reese, and Francoise is the Caitlin Clark.
Yep.
And Danny McDevitt is Magic Johnson.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Last question for the evening. Kicker Calazotti and FLG have publicly announced their split, drawing many reactions within the community.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, Seth, but that is how you pronounce Kicker's last name? I had no...
Calazotti? Yes.
Yeah, Calazotti.
Like Panzerotti?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I could also be wrong in my pronunciation. He's my friend, and he's never corrected me.
His
so
name was pronounced Kick-A.
You guys didn't even know his real first name. Anyway, if Kicker and FLG played an on-screen couple in an ongoing will they, won't they romance story, who would they be and why? And let's go with Peter.
Will they, won't they?
Yeah.
Kicker and who?
FLG.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm giving you points just for being stunned. I think I finally out-Falconed the Falcon.
I mean, like, this feels like the classic will they, won't they? So this is a 100% a Ross and Rachel situation where I fully expect at some point Kicker is going to find himself on an airplane on his way to some event, possibly the Challenge A Cup, and Reese Richard Robbins is going to be rushed onto the plane at the very last second, and they're going to get married. Yeah, that's it. That's what's going to happen. And then they're going to fade to black, and then we're going to find out that Frankie was pregnant with Monica or something, and they had a baby. And they sold their apartment.
Danny, save us. Give us a better.
Is going to have a spin-off.
So anyway, great. Thanks for the talk, Peter. So I think if you were to kind of put this into a movie couple, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Species.
That's just your age or species.
Yeah, but Kicker is the alien creature. You know what? Hold on. I have a better example. Have you ever seen Splice?
I was thinking Splice when you said Species, so I was
I've not seen
all about
Splice
it because of the Canadian connection.
Yeah, so...
Well, minus points for that being Canadian.
Adrian Brody is represented by Reese, while Kicker is obviously Nell. I think, is that what the
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what that character's name is. And so, they grow up together. They have like Reese is kind of showing him the ropes, that kind of thing, like how to, exist as a biological creature. And then Reese has sex with Kicker, and that's where everything goes off the rails.
Yeah, and then so does Sarah Polly.
True.
Who was in Avonlea.
You're gonna take off.
Yeah,
my
I'm
points
gonna take off your points for letting Falcon answer during your time. Francois, you're up.
Well, I was gonna say Jack and Rose from Titanic because I feel like there's a metaphor about a sinking ship somewhere in there, but it feels like I've got a very tough act to follow after that species comment. So I'm at a loss for words now.
I think Francois just won by punting and not answering. I think
Like you do when you're ahead,
I think
man.
he saw he was
Take a
ahead.
knee.
He took a knee and was just like, whatever, I'm going to give a quick answer and get out and take the win. So I guess...
Did you know that on this day in history, Peter the Falcon of Colosimo was actually almost kicked out of Prince Edward Island, the entire province.
I believe
for
it.
threatening to burn down Avonlea. Although it wasn't me, it was my friend who was drunk. They're really protective of that whole Anne of Green Gables
Yeah,
situation.
I mean, they prefer that not to be burned down, I believe. But Francois, you are our winner, and as the winner of the second time winner, actually, of Warp News Showdown, you get to monologue about the topic of your choice. But remember, your co-hosts are definitely still going to have their mics unmuted, and some of them love to fucking monologue. So good luck.
I feel it's an indictment of my colleagues here that I won because my performance was definitely subpar, but that's okay. The lesson here, once again, is if you don't try very hard and then you pander just a little bit, you will win.
Always true. Sage words from
Shit
Francois.
monologue.
Yes, I'm
That was
sorry. I was
very
going to rant
good.
against guard, but then I felt like I did that already, and then it's late and I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
You wanted to talk about 40K on a 40K show?
Who does
I know.
that?
Very
You
good.
know who does that? I do that.
Oh, let's talk about Murder, She Wrote. I know you love that.
All right, that's enough from those boys. All right, heading on over here. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope folks are enjoying the Cascade Clash. This should be coming out during that event. As always, if you have some questions for next week's show, head on over to the Warp News Showdown channel in the Wargames Live Discord and drop us some ideas there. And if I will look through them and maybe borrow some of them for my own ideas for the next show. And of course, if you want to ever sponsor me, just email SethMadDok@gmail.com. But anyway, I thank my hosts for joining us. Particularly Francois for trying to keep us on track. Danny, he did his best, but I think he's just like over the years maybe tired of Falcon derailing him. So thanks for joining me, boys. I hope everyone has a great week, and we will see you next time.